Welcome, everybody. I'm super excited that you guys made time to tune in to this amazing event. My name is Dorota. It's actually Dorota Clifford. I am the founder of Dorota Medium and especially this new thing that we're doing, Intuitive Authority. It is about tuning in to yourself, to understanding that over the years you have been bypassing it because life kind of told you to be somebody you're not. So now we're going to reclaim who you are, go past everything that is holding us back. We have 4 amazing speakers, including myself. How cool is that, right? I am super, super excited. And because I am very, very passionate about making everyone understand that you have all the answers, that all the answers are within you, and just learning to trust yourself, which is the hardest thing. And now you're going to figure out why. So if you guys are ready, because I am, and I have a very first speaker that's going to start us off, which is Margaret Dennis. She's women's empowerment coach. And who knows better grief than Margaret? She did TED Talks about it. She helps people. She also helps teenagers. Because as you guys know right now, it's really hard for teenagers growing up. There's just so much. So she is a co-founder of Unshakable Me. And she turned her grief into empowerment. So please welcome with me, Margaret.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I want to say something that might make some of you a little bit uncomfortable. You are not over your grief. And if you think that, you might be doing exactly what you need to do to keep yourself stuck. My name is Margaret Dennis. I'm a women's life empowerment and holistic grief coach and a TEDx speaker. Thank you for sharing that. And I work with women who have been struggling with their grief and help them to heal. But for 13 years, I thought I had healed my grief. But really, what I had done was learn how to hide it really, really well. And today, we're going to talk about bypassing your grief and what it costs you when you do that. Now, I have notes today because I have a little bit of a brain that goes all over, so hope you're okay with the notes. I want you all to think about your grief. Just think about grief that you've experienced. And I don't need you to define it, but I would like for you just to notice it. Notice what's happened. Notice how you feel about it. And grief we've been taught is that it's about death, right? The death of people, pets. And so our culture has set it up so that we can move through that grief, right? We have funerals, people bring us casseroles, we have a few days to grieve, and then we go back to work. But we have defined that particular type of grief in our culture. And it's okay to grieve someone who's died. It's okay to grieve your pet, although some people are like, just get over it, right? But that is only 20% of the grief that we actually experience in our lifetime. And so there are so many other things in life that we experience that we don't recognize as grief. And that's where a lot of problems come in to healing. So things like your marriage ending, going through infertility, having a miscarriage, moving, getting married, having a child, not getting the promotion that you wanted, failing your driver's test the first time, breaking up with your first love, turning into a version of you that you don't recognize, or dreams not working out the way that you thought that they would. Those are all examples of grief as well. And those are things that we don't always recognize have that big grief component. And so we bypass them. We don't give them the attention that they deserve. So if anything in that list landed for you, I want you to notice that. I want you to hold on to that and see what else comes up during today's conversation. Because grief isn't only about death. It's about the things that never happened, the closure that we never got, and the version of ourselves that we left behind in order to survive. And then there's also the grief that happens when we have to show up for work on Monday after our whole world fell apart. We have to walk in on Monday and we have to lead our teams, we have to make decisions, and we have to be the same person we were on Friday on Monday after we have completely gone through something astronomically devastating, and we are fundamentally not the same person. But we're expected to perform. We're expected to be that person. We're expected to show up. And we're expected to leave our grief at home. But grief it's not like something we can put in a suitcase and just pack away. Grief becomes part of you, and it is part of you all the time. You can't put it off to the side. You can't say, oh, I'll just leave it at home while I go to work. And that becomes a really big part of our grief as well, when we have to pretend to be someone that we're not in that moment. And when we do that, that is probably one of the most damaging things we do to people and to ourselves when we pretend that we're something that we're not. So I want to tell you a bit of a story about when I became the world's most accomplished griever without actually fully grieving myself. I want to take you back to 2003. I've been recently married. I wanted to have a baby. I'd wanted to be a mom for my entire life. Ever since I was a little girl playing with my dolls, I wanted to be a mom. Well, as you can expect, becoming a mom was not easy. We went through 6 years of unexplained infertility. They couldn't tell us why we couldn't get pregnant. I was poked and prodded by so many doctors. I took so many drugs, went through 4 unsuccessful trials of IUI, and every time it just got more devastating than the next. And then finally we went, you know what? We'll just do the last thing, last ditch effort. We went through IVF. We threw everything at it. I did acupuncture. We did everything they possibly could. And we were very lucky. We became pregnant with twins. And my husband at the time, we were so elated. We were so excited. We're like, oh, the journey, the 6 years, it's been worth it. We're pregnant. We're going to complete our family with twins. And we didn't want to know if they were boys or girls, because I'll tell you, that infertility process, if anyone's been through it, is the most public process you will ever go through. All the doctors know, your family knows, your friends know, because you share it. And so we wanted to keep that part a surprise. And it was a high-risk pregnancy right from the beginning. When you go through IVF, it is always considered high risk. And I had a few little hiccups along the way. And then at 5.5 months, I went into labor, and they couldn't stop it. And so my twins were delivered at 5.5 months. My son, Isaac, was 594 grams, and my daughter was 574 grams, literally a pound of butter. And they whisked them away to the NICU to stabilize them. And my daughter was the warrior. She was so stable. She was lying in her little incubator. She did really well. My son, he was our wounded. He was very, very sick. And you walked into the NICU, and where our daughter was very quiet with one monitor, our son was covered in IVs and monitors and beeping, and he was very, very ill. And after consulting with the doctors for 3 days, we made the very difficult decision to take him off life support. And so 3 days after my twins were born, I held my son in my arms as he passed away. And as a first-time mom, anyone who's a mom who's been through this, you can just imagine, it was devastating. And I remember collapsing on the floor, sobbing. I put my head in my mom's lap, and I cried and I cried and I cried until I think I passed out. I was so exhausted. But then I got up, I wiped my tears, because I had a daughter in the other room who needed me. And I pushed my grief down. And I went and I sat with her. And I learned how to bypass my grief in that moment, because the amount of grief that I felt, I never wanted to feel that again. That pain was devastating. And so I went into the other room, and I was working with Lily, sitting with Lily. And for the next 6.5 months, she was in the NICU. She went through surgeries and everything. And I would drive an hour every day from our home to the hospital. I would sit by her hospital bed. I would touch her little fingers if I was allowed, because she was so early, sometimes touching her was painful. And I didn't get to hold my daughter until she was 3.5 weeks old. 3.5 weeks. And when the babies were born and my son had passed, I had to leave the hospital and go home without my baby. There was so much grief encompassed in that moment. And at the same time, there was so much love for my daughter. And in that moment, I had to choose. Was I going to love her and ignore my grief? Or was I going to let myself fall into the pit of grief and do a disservice to my daughter. And I chose love, and I pushed the grief down. And for the next 6.5 months, I held those balls in the air. I drove back and forth. I'd sit with my daughter. I'd walk in with my coffee. Some days I would shower. Some days I wouldn't. But it was really about survival, and it was willing her to survive. And when she was 5.5 weeks old, she wasn't even a kilogram. She went in for heart surgery that they told us they weren't sure if she would make it through. And so my ex-husband and I, we stood in the hallway, and I stood there with tears streaming down my face, but I couldn't afford to fall apart. Not then, not there, because I had to be there for her. And I held on to being strong, held on to being that woman that was able to keep it all together, because I was terrified of feeling that grief again. And I thought, there's no way. If I lose her, I don't know what's going to happen. And over the next few months, I was everything to everyone. I was there for her, my husband, my family, my friends. And in amongst all of it, because we thought we would, this would be a good idea, we bought a business while my daughter was still in the NICU fighting to survive. We thought this would be a great idea. Maybe it was a distraction. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Margaret, what were you thinking? I definitely would not recommend making that monumental a decision during that time of grief. There's a reason they say don't do big decisions in the first year. We went all in. And so I went back to work. So I managed work with going back and forth to the hospital and back and forth, all the time keeping those balls in the air, all the time bypassing the healing that I needed to happen. It was too painful. And one of the things people kept saying to me is, Margaret, you're so strong. I'm so incredibly amazed at what you do. I could never do that. That was the loneliest thing someone ever said to me. You're so strong. Talk about putting an expectation on someone. Because if I was strong, they didn't have to see my grief. If I was strong, then maybe it wouldn't happen to them. Because our brains are wired for survival. And if they see you in pain, it doesn't matter if it's emotional or physical, it's viewed as a threat, right? So people would say, Margaret, you're so strong. And I would nod and I would say, thank you. But what I really wanted to do was curl up in the corner and cry until I passed out and make the whole world go away. But I didn't. And I also wanted to say to them, you know what? I'm not strong. I'm drowning. I'm falling apart. I'm barely keeping it together. But people don't want to hear that. So we don't share it. We just carry it. And as women, we carry it really well. We are born to be those nurturers and those ones that just carry all the balls and keep everything together. And so we did. And I held on to being strong because it was the only thing that I could control. The only thing I had control over was my ability to be strong, and it was the only solid ground that I had. And that, being strong and keeping all the balls in the air and being there for everybody else, that was me bypassing. I had a degree in bypassing by this time. And by the time my daughter came home at 6.5 months, and she was only 5.5 pounds, she'd 500%ed her weight, but she was on oxygen and tube feeding, which then there's another level of strong, right? I'm willing my daughter to survive. I have to be there every day. I have to make sure that when the oxygen monitor drops, that I get up and shake her a little bit so that she's still breathing. So it's a whole different level of grief, because motherhood for me didn't happen the way I dreamed it was. All you see on TV, like, oh, you look across the room and you get pregnant and it's so wonderful and I have a great pregnancy and I have this lovely baby I bring home and life is beautiful. Mine was the complete opposite of that. My love for my daughter runs very, very deep. And I'm very grateful for her every single day. But my journey to motherhood was not what I expected, and that alone was deep grief that I never really healed up until that point. But I didn't do it because I was weak. I didn't do it because I was in denial. I did it to survive. And sometimes survival requires bypassing and postponing those deep, really deep, hard feelings of grief. But the problem is we postpone and we postpone and we postpone, and then it becomes just a way of life for us. So can anyone relate to that, where we've actually postponed and put things off? And if yes, this next part's for you. Who here has heard the term, time heals all wounds? All right, a lot of times. And if I just keep going, it'll get better. Totally wrong. Worst advice ever. Time does not heal what you refuse to feel. And functioning, as I learned, is not the same as healing. So, what happens when we bypass, right? What happens when we don't face our feelings and we don't allow ourselves to feel them? Those feelings start building up and they layer and they layer and they compound one on top of the other. And then we have this pressure cooker of emotion inside of us without a release valve. And we think we're doing okay because we're showing up. Like with me, I could talk to my daughter about Isaac, no problem. I didn't cry. Sometimes we did. But I was like, I thought I'm good. I'm good. I'm functioning. I'm going to work. Lily's doing great. But I was bypassing. And when we bypass those feelings, they start coming out in ways we may not recognize as grief. We wake up at 3 a.m. with our heads spinning and we're like, why am I not over this? It happened like 10 years ago. Or I'm snapping at my partner for saying something completely innocent. Or I'm driving down the car and a song comes on the radio, and next thing I know, I'm bawling my eyes out and can barely see where I'm going. That's happened to me far too many times. Or maybe it's we're at work and all of a sudden we're hit with brain fog and we're like, what's going on? And we can't sleep. And we look in the mirror and we don't recognize who we are. All of that can be connected to grief, and that's all of it coming out. Not to mention all the physical things that could happen: skin rashes, stomach issues, depression, anxiety. Our grief will come out in ways that it wants us to pay attention. Pay attention. And that's what happens when your body has been holding on to grief for far too long. And the kicker for any of us going through midlife right now, perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, when our lovely bodies decide to go through this huge metamorphosis and we drop our hormones and things change, we're used to holding all the balls in the air. We're used to being the strong one. We're used to doing it for everybody and showing up for everyone. And we think we've got our life together. And all of a sudden, we're like, what? What's going on? Because when midlife happens, our gatekeepers for bypassing our emotions, they exit the building. You are no longer able to bypass your emotions. And so for anyone who's moving through midlife, you may be going to your doctor and they're saying, okay, well, take this medication or exercise here or eat this or do this. And you think you're doing all the things that'll support you through menopause. And it's great. I know I'm in the middle of it too. I'm doing all the things. But somewhere underneath, maybe you feel like, there's something else. There's something else that's going on. Why am I still not feeling like myself? Listen to that. Dig into that, because I will guarantee you it's all the grief you've never dealt with in your entire life. Starting from like when Billy pushed you down in the playground when you were 6, all the way through to the marriages that dissolved, the jobs you didn't get, the career you don't have. And in midlife, it's a reckoning for us. Pay attention, go within, and listen to what your body's telling you. One of the sneakiest ways that we bypass grief, it's a big cop-out on our part, I think, is all the opinions about our grief that other people give us. They're like, oh, you should be over it by now. Or don't you think you should start dating? Your husband passed away a year ago. Do you think maybe you want to start dating? Or it's the, how dare you start dating? He's been gone for 10 years and you're not honoring his memory. Or maybe you should try for another child. I know you had a miscarriage, but try again. There are people out there that will shoot you off their opinions. Your friends, your colleagues, your family members, people at the grocery checkout. Everybody has an opinion about your grief. They don't matter. And we spend all of our time looking externally for how to help ourselves. And what we need to do is look internal, because your body, your heart, it knows what you need. It knows what you need to heal your grief if you give it the chance and you listen and you stop and you pay attention. Because here's the truth. No one else is living your grief. No one else has had the same experience as you. No one knows what your body needs. No one knows what your heart is ready for. And no one knows what your healing requires. But you do. And when you bypass your feelings and you push them down and you lean into a different version of yourself and you get overwhelmed by all these ideas that are happening out in the world, you lose track of what you need and you don't pay attention. And you disconnect from your inner authority, you disconnect from your inner knowing, and you do a great disservice to yourself, because you'll never heal that way. You will never heal that way. So you need to start listening to yourself. And that disconnection, is one of the most profound losses that grief creates. And reclaiming it is one of the most important parts of your healing. And that's what today is all about. Reconnecting to that intuitive authority, that inner knowing, being able to trust yourself with your own grief and your healing. So I wanted to share another story with you. This happened 13 years after I lost Isaac. I got the call that I was going to do a TED Talk. I had wanted to do one for 20 years. Ever since I'd seen them on YouTube when they first started showing them, I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to stand on that red dot. I'm going to talk. Because as you can see, I'm actually quite comfortable up in front of people, and it's my superpower. I can get up, I can talk. And I always wanted to share my story of losing Isaac. And the reason I wanted to share it was I wanted other women who've been through loss of, losing a child, to know that there is life after losing a child. Life doesn't stop because you lose a child. Is it painful? It is the most painful thing you'll ever experience. I'm not going to lie. It hurts to your core. But you can move forward. There is life after that. And it's a choice. And people hate it when I say this. It is a choice if you stay where you are or you choose to take a step forward. Okay? It's a choice. And so I was super excited. I'm like, oh, I got the call. It's going to be great. And then I sat down to write it. That was an eye-opener because I started to write and I started to cry. And for the next 3 months, I would cry and I would write and I would write and I would cry. And I had tear stains all over my papers. And I'd get into rehearsals and I couldn't even make it through my speech. And I thought, oh my God, how am I going to do this if I can't even make it through rehearsals? And why is this all coming up now? It's 13 years. I've been healed. I can talk about him without crying. I can talk about him with other people. Like, why am I feeling all this emotion? Yeah, I was bypassed it, right? And what better way to face your grief and let it flow and really feel it than to write about the event that caused it? So that's what I did. And in that moment, in that breakthrough, I realized I hadn't healed. I had hidden really well. And what I know now, after that huge unraveling, is that I wasn't falling apart in that moment. I was falling open. And my grief had waited until I had slowed down enough to actually let it in, to actually feel it. And what better way, like I said, than to write about it? For me, writing was cathartic. It was healing. It was allowing those tears to flow. And honestly, at that point, I couldn't stop the tears if I'd wanted to. They were ready to come out. And my grief asked for everything of me in that moment. Every wisp of pain, every tear that I cried in the car, every ounce of guilt that I had felt over Isaac's death. Because as a mom, whether you are the cause of it or you're not, which I know from the doctors I was not, you still feel it. You still feel it. It was brutal. It was one of the hardest things I had done. And it was the first time since Isaac had died that I actually felt that level of pain again. But I was no longer bypassing my grief and my breakdown. It became my breakthrough. So has anyone ever said to you, I should be over this by now? Kind of like what I was thinking when I was in it, right? Or you think to yourself, I should be over this by now. Or other people seem to be handling their grief better than me. But your grief is your own. And deep down, you know what you need. And your work is to learn how to trust that inner knowing. Because when we start comparing ourselves to other people and how they're handling their grief, and we're like, oh my God, look at how awesome they are. They're put together. They're showing up at work. They're managing their kids. They're managing their house. They're awesome. They're so strong, right? But you don't see their 3 a.m.s. You don't see them crying in the car before they go into their work. You don't see them snapping at their partner when they're deep in an argument. You don't see them second guessing themselves at work where they never used to. You see them performing just like they see you performing, right? And that comparison trap, it's brutal. So something else I want you to understand too is 2 of you could experience the exact same thing. So let's take a family, for example. You've got a whole family, siblings, parents, and one of the parents passes away. Every single one of you in that family is going to experience your grief differently. It comes from your personality, your experiences, what you've experienced before, your outlook on life. It's all of it. You come at your grief very differently. So if everyone in that family is experiencing differently, I bet you any money you've had judgment in those families where like, oh my God, you're not crying enough. Or how could you say that about our parent? Or there's judgment that comes up from the outside because you're not grieving the way that other people in the family think you should be grieving. But only you know what's best for you. Only you know what's best for you. So I recommend don't spend so much time looking to the outside. Start looking on the inside. Because nobody else will know what you need. You do. And you're unique. And nobody has the map to your healing but you. And it lives inside of you. And you learning to trust it is the most important thing that you can do. And if you trust yourself with grief, this is what it might look like. And when you listen to your body might say, you know what, I really need to cry. Cry. Or, I think I need a nap. That was a big one. Go have a nap. Or, I want to scream. Scream. Or, I think I need to lie down on the earth and just feel held by something solid. Or maybe I need to dance and I need to sing, or I need to laugh, or I need to cry, or journal, or write, or paint. Or sometimes I just need to sit in silence. Or maybe I need to curl up in my jammies with a big bowl of popcorn and binge watch Netflix for the entire weekend and shut myself away from what that grief is bringing up for me. You know what you need. Just don't bypass it. Listen. And if other people are judging you and telling you you're not doing it right, don't listen. That's the hardest part because we want to belong, right? And when we push people away, we think we're not going to belong. That's a whole other conversation. But it's listening to ourselves and honoring what we need. And your grief needs you to stop, needs you to stop pretending, stop managing, stop pretending to be fine, and let it be what it is, if only for a few minutes. Because there's no wrong way to do grief. No wrong way at all. You do grief the way you need to do grief, and you heal what you need to heal. And it'll take the time that it takes on your timeline. And it's unfortunate that our society doesn't support us in doing that yet. That's my mission. We're going to get out there. We're going to get it to change. But your grief, your way, your timeline, full stop. And if you're still feeling your grief 5, 10, 20 years later, all that means is that your grief didn't have enough time to heal at that time. So give it the space, give it the time. And I'll bet a lot of you are also thinking, oh my God, I am so afraid if I start feeling this, I'm going to drown in it. I'm going to feel this grief and it's going to hurt so bad. And what am I going to do? And I'm going to get stuck in it and I'm never going to come out of it. And how am I going to be a mom and a wife and a VP and all of these things? What's going to happen if I start allowing myself to feel the depth of this pain? Well, I want to give you an analogy. I'm sure we've all seen toddlers out there who have these temper tantrums and they cry and they're like, ah, and they go on and on for like 5 or 10 minutes. They give it their all, which we can all learn something from that. If we embraced our emotions like that. But when they're done, they go, they have that jagged cry, and then they relax, right? And then they sleep. Because guess what? They can't manage that level of intensity forever. And neither can you. And so if you allow yourself to just ride that out, ride that wave, feel that emotion, it will end. And it may come back an hour later, but guess what? You'll have made some more space for you to feel more love, feel more joy, without feeling like you're one step away from your own life. I was really afraid to feel the depth of my grief over losing Isaac. And so I bypassed it for a very long time until I couldn't. And I'll tell you, the best thing I ever did was let that go. And not let it go as in, bye-bye, see you later, I don't think about you anymore. It's, now I can think back on him with so much more love and peace, and I fully step into my life now. I feel the joy to the depth of my soul. Whereas before, I felt it, but I didn't really feel it. And that's a message that I want to leave with you guys today. We're going to go to here. So your job when you're going through your grief is to really try the tools that you have. Ideas, there's going to be a lot of books out there. There's going to be a lot of people telling you what to do. You need to choose what works for you. And so if I leave you with this, your intuition about your grief is not wrong. It's wisdom. It's awareness. And I want you to trust your voice because it's been trying to guide you all along.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you.
See, guys, isn't it different way of looking at a grief? Because we do really look at it as somebody crossing over to the other side. We don't realize how much grief we carry from day to day just by even a breakup. You know, some people carry their breakup from their first love to their new marriages, and they just keep piling on it, and they don't open themselves up or are not present in the relationship because they do this wall where if I open up, that means I'm going to get hurt. So yes, I love you, I'm with you, but I'm going to keep that little wall here just in case. But that wall is just simply unprocessed grief, unprocessed emotions. So I love how you have spoken about it, Margaret, how you give everybody a different look. And this is exactly why I'm passionate about intuitive authority. And this is my vision, to show you guys that you are so much more, that you have all the answers, and it's okay to heal. Especially now, there's a lot of shadow healing that is very popular. However, they basically tell you to grab that shovel and go digging. And that's the last thing you want to do, to go digging to see what issues you have or what unhealed traumas or griefs or you have. This is taking it one at a time as it presents itself, but give yourself space and time to feel it. On that note, I want to thank Margaret very much for being here with us, and I trust you guys learned a lot from it, right? Was it a little bit personal for you? We do have a chat also going that we will have a panel at the end. So if you have any questions, hold them up. And if you're in the chat, throw questions, share your stories with us, and we will get to it today with you if you're live. Otherwise, we'll answer in the comments later. So thank you again, Margaret. Thank you.
That's great.
And as I have mentioned, intuitive authority is more about yourself being yourself. You guys heard about, be authentic. But the truth is, you're not really being yourself, because again, if you have to scream that so much, then you're not allowing yourself to be who you are, right? So being intuitive authority, it is basically trusting yourself, being in your own authority, not because you already are authentic. And right now, our next speaker for today is Mary. And Mary is powerful indigenous healer. She is owner of Ignite Your Soul Wellness Spa in Pickering, with over 20 years of experience and her own story of breaking chains. Because as you heard, there's a grief, but there's also chains that are sitting on us, or we chain ourselves to places. And she's gonna show you how you can unchain it, unbreak it, because it is about time, isn't it? Isn't it time? Let's do it. So, well, guys, welcome, Mary. Yeah.
Hello.
So I'll hand this over to you.
Thank
You're welcome.
you.
This is so exciting. I love this.
This is so exciting, and I love just being here and talking. And I have a story to tell you guys. This is a personal story. This is my story. This is about how I broke chains. I dove into my spiritual self. It started April 27th, 1997. It wasn't the day I got an award. It wasn't the day that I opened my business. It wasn't the day that I even had my calling. It was, this is a big one, it was the day I surrendered. I surrendered. I had personal hell, personal chains that I just kept repeating over and over again. It's the day I spoke my truth. I didn't lie to Mary anymore. Come on, girl, you're done. What's going on? You keep repeating these patterns, and I keep doing the same thing over and over again. I moved 100 times. Come on, kids, we're moving. Because it was, in my mind, it was going to be a different area. It was going to be different. It's going to be different this time. It's going to be different. So I spoke my truth. I spoke my truth. And when I had to admit to myself that I couldn't do it anymore, I couldn't do it anymore. I was so sick. And anybody out there knowing when you're sick and you don't know where to go, you have to surrender and you have to say, I can't do this anymore. I don't know who, what. But when I did that, it changed my life forever. It changed my life forever. You know, it was the power of one day at a time. The power of one single day. That's all I had. I was so sick, I couldn't think of any other day. So sick. So that's the day I began my sobriety. I dropped a chain. I got honest with myself. I spoke truth. I wasn't telling everybody what they thought they needed to hear. It was like, no, I'm sick. And, you know, and I had people going, oh, no, you're fine. You just do, you know, you'll be okay. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. You know, and I had to dig and I had to stay firm because you know what it's like when you have people going, oh, you're fine, or they're going to bitch at you, or they're going to say this. No, stick to your grounds. Stick to your grounds. You know? And I didn't think about years. I didn't even think about days. I just thought about one step at a time. And then that became, after a while, I started forming a habit, and that became my truth. That became how I lived my life. So when you are an alcoholic and when you're active addiction, on anything, addiction, you could be addicted to anything. It could be food, could be this, could be that. But if it's in your soul and it doesn't feel right, ask yourself, what's going on? What is going on? There's something in there that is not feeling right. And what do? We push it down. We drink. Some people fight. Some people, you know, it's at their husbands, it's at their families. It's just because it's something that's inside of us. And I picked one day without picking up. One day. You know? And, you know, and I had the shakes. My eyes were rolling in the back of my head. It was scary. And I just kept going. I didn't know. I was like, oh my God, I am so sick. And I did choose one day. I just chose today. And then all of a sudden, the next day came. And I chose that day. And one day, I just kept thinking to myself, I just have to keep taking that step. I just have to keep going forward. That's all I have is that one step. And I did it. I took one step. Because as we think of all the things that we do or have to do. I have to do this. I have to tell this person. I have to do this. But you know what? It's not even here yet. Stop. Sit in your power. Sit in your power. You are powerful. Sit in your power. Because it's a wonderful gift. It's a wonderful gift. And I just kept going. I kept saying that I had a vision. I just kept saying, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And then I just started noticing like little things. Like I woke up on a Sunday morning, sober. That was powerful. Waking up on a Sunday morning, and then actually I walked outside, and all of a sudden there was this beautiful tree in front of me, and I saw this bud on the tree. And I felt like it was me. It was just starting to grow off of this tree. And I stopped in front of it, and I was like, okay, that bud was me. I was on that tree. And ever since then, I started getting little messages because my truth came out. So every step I took, it was a learning experience. So every day I was looking for that bud into something. Maybe it was somebody I learned from. Maybe it was, but I was always learning. So here I stand in front of you. Unbelievable. Going on 29 years sobriety. 29 years. One time I couldn't even make it 29 minutes. 29, one day at a time. One day at a time. Because that's all we have. It's an amazing journey. I had a lot of people that were waiting for a phone call to say, she's gone. But they didn't. They didn't. They got to have me, the me right now. 29 years. I'll be celebrating April 27th, 2026. I'll be celebrating that day because I earned it. I earned it. I took the steps. I stopped the people. I stopped the noise of everybody giving me their opinion. I stopped it. You can too. You can too. I promise you, you can. Promise. I just want to tell you that the power of one day at a time is not just a slogan. It's not just a slogan. And if you can incorporate that in your life every day, you got it made. You've got it made. Because the slogan, it's there for a lifetime. It's there for a lifetime. You got tools. We get tools on our shoulders. I've had many, many, many people and many people and counselors and addiction therapies and any kind of therapy or books. I was in it. I was so feeding myself. I was a year and a half sober, and I asked to go into a treatment center, a women's treatment center. Best decision I ever made. I made arrangements for my kids. Made arrangements. And I went away for a month. We had classes. We got up every morning. And we went to the schooling that we had was incredible because it was learning, why are we addicted? Why do we go down that road? They're showing us icebergs. I'm like, what the hell? Iceberg up here is like that, but under here, oh, I got it. The water and yeah. But we have so much power inside of us to continue on that one step at a time. To continue on. So this one I struggled with for a very long time because I probably got sober maybe 5 or 6 times. Yep, this was it. Yep, this is it. Yep, this is it. This is it. So, surrendering, that was powerful. That was powerful because that, to me, before it felt like weakness. It's like, oh no, you can't do that. It's like, oh, you got to keep going. But I surrendered. I surrendered to me. And it was the best thing that I ever did in my life, was to surrender all those crazy thoughts, all those crazy actions. Life was just, it just felt the chains were all there, all the links. I started drinking because it was a normal thing. My dad came home and had a beer after work and sat in his chair. I thought that was normal. I don't know. I thought that was normal. So then when I started my domestic career, I did it. I went to work, came home, had a beer. And then it started. Because that was normal to me. And I didn't know any different. So when I opened my heart to the guidance that I had from my angels and my higher power, whatever it is for you, whatever it is. Some days it was my kids, well, always my kids. It's like, there's no way. No, they are going to grow up like that, and I don't want them to do that. But if they do, that is their life, that's their choice. But I want them to see they don't have to stay there. They don't have to stay there. So I just wanted to thank and have all the angels and all of the people that have come before me in my pathway. Because if you don't share what you've got, how do we learn? How do we learn? You take one look at me and you're saying, oh my God, wow. 29 years. Yeah, 29 years. That's a lot. Recovery? Wasn't easy. Because, like I said, you have to dig. And sometimes it's uncomfortable. Well, it's uncomfortable. But then when you break through that chain, it's, you take this breath, literally right here in your gut, and you go, this is the right thing. Keep that feeling, Mary. Keep that feeling and keep going. Keep going, because one step at a time. My recovery was sick. It was this. I had to learn, and I had to learn how to relive life without alcohol, because that was my drug of choice. And I did. The funny thing is, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I was a bartender. It was so convenient for an alcoholic. But I was a bartender. I was a year and a half bartending, sober, and I went to when I went to the treatment center. But people were saying, oh, is that a good idea, Mary? And I'm like, you know what? I'm learning. I'm learning that I'm on this side of the bar, and I don't want to be on that side of the bar anymore. Because I was there. I could walk in any bar. Hey, what up? I could do that. So everything that I did, I'm not going to go back, oh, I should have done this. Oh, I should have done that. No. I took that as a lesson, a wisdom. I took it as my sacred wisdom. Because this is for me. And I wake up every day and I'm an alcoholic. I'm a recovering alcoholic, but I'm an alcoholic. And that's staying true to me. So the moments of doubt, the moments of fear, the moments of just, am I going to get through this? They all got replaced. They got replaced with, what am I going to learn today? Who am I going to meet today? And I make sure I learn something from everybody. Because that's why we're here. That's why the road you went down and you went down and you went down. That's why you did that. But each time I remembered, no matter how hard it was, because you go through what? Go through death. Death was a big one in our family, because that was when you went in the parking lot and drank. Oh yeah, you all know that. Back in the days, it was like you was just funerals and that. So it's like, that happened. It's like, okay, what am I going to do now? So I planned things that's going to make me safe. I'm not going to engage in that. And then another thing was the moving, when I had to move, because that's when you would grab a case of beer and come and, get everybody over. And it was like, what did I do? So you know what? I retaught my brain. And I went and got cases of water. I got cases of pop. I got any kind of liquid that I had and kept it, because I realized in recovery that when I what's going on with you, Mary? And I'm like, you know what, really? What's happening? I'm thirsty. I'm thirsty because I asked myself, why are you thinking of something bubbly? Because I was thirsty. So when you're self-care, you know, oh, okay, I got to look after myself. Just like when you know, go to sleep. Know what you want. Are you hungry? You know, you've got all these other things that happen in your life, but reach it in, reach it in. So I built the foundation that I have now on one step at a time, and a vision that I had probably since I was a little girl. And my spiritual journey happened the moment I stopped, the moment I surrendered. It was powerful. It was very powerful. I'm going to tell you a story about that night, when it was like, I was done. I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't know. I was so sick. I didn't want to live. I just wanted to die. I wanted this circle to go, this cycle to go. I just wanted it to go. So, of course, that night I was so drunk, and of course fighting with my husband and all that stuff, and of course everything, and I just knew, I just felt so heavy, and I just knew, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be here. I don't know. I sat on the floor in my bedroom, and it was almost like I sat in a ball, and I just cried. And I was just, I can't do this anymore. And I was about to get up, and all of a sudden, no word, I felt beautiful, warm blanket, hugs, wings. It was around me, and I got up off the floor, and I went, and I got right into my bed, and I fell asleep. And I woke up the next morning, and it was April 27th, 1997. The angels I know today, they said, you're ready, Mary. You ain't going anywhere because you got a story to tell. So they picked me up when I was ready to go and do something in another room. They picked me up. The warmth was amazing. And anybody who's had angel experiences know, you know it's an angel. They picked me up and they put me into bed. And then I woke up the next day, and I knew that was it. I knew that was my journey. So listening to the quiet sounds inside of me was all new. And all the angels that I believed that I had around me, guiding me. I started hanging around people that were like me. So I would go to meetings, or I went into like counseling sessions for addictions. And I just kept learning and learning and learning. But it was just all about me. I had to be. Because the angels not only led me to sobriety, they led me to my purpose. And let me tell you, when you find your purpose, look out. You just keep going because it feeds you. And I know what my purpose is. I really stayed focused, and that's one of the things that I think that you need to do is stay focused. Stay focused, and that's what I did. I stayed focused. At the time, we didn't have the internet, so I went to the library, and I grabbed all the books I could. Self-help, this, that. I went to meetings, and I got the big book, all the other books that are around with it. I just needed all that stuff around me. I need it. That's me. That's me. To this day, I have books up in my room, and I just so I can look at them. They're up there, but I see it. I see, yep, that's me. I'm up there. That's my book. That's my power. That's what I am. And the vision that taught me, that kept me going, it was my vision. this vision that I had, I'm going to tell you this story too. This is a drunk story. And it's with my best girlfriend that I've had since I was 14 and she was 17. Okay? So everybody knows that we got one of those friends in our lives that we just, she's it. She's it. So, we were sitting on her floor. I came for a visit. We were sitting on her floor in her kitchen. I had just come back from a trip. So I brought back from the States a 60-pounder of vodka. It was like $10. And it was like, yeah, let's go with 60-pounder of vodka. So we're sitting there, and every time we got together, we were just like everything. We were so inspired by each other. So inspired. We're sitting there. So I'm sitting there, I'm going, one day I'm going to open up a spa. And she's like, go girl, you do it. And then when I said that, something clicked inside of me. Yeah, I felt that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open up a spa. I had no idea back then. I went through so many channels, things back then. It was just, but you know what? I just kept that vision. I kept manifesting. I manifested my vision. And I kept walking toward courses, walking towards schooling, education. And I just kept it. So I just wanted to, whatever I was feeling inside, I wanted to create a healing space that you and everybody can come in, because you know what? We all need that place. We need that place where I know what you're going through. I've been there. No matter what it is, take a place, find your place. And that's the place that I had my vision of. I went through many changes over the years. It's been 11 years that my business is still going, and I've constructed and changed everything just so I can be with the people and know what they want. To reconnect with yourself is powerful. And the atmosphere that I have chosen to create at my spa is one that is a healing one. And you feel it. People who come in, they feel it right away because of the good energy. I'm here and I want to help you. I want to heal you. I want my hands on you. And that's the gift that I was brought forward, was to keep going, because you're going to get stronger and stronger. And then all of a sudden, that vision is here. But I kept that vision as my compass. I kept that spa vision. And then it started to go, well, what would it look like? Then I started picking colors out in my head. Oh, it looked like this and this and this. Look at this, this and this. So at the time, I was just very blessed, very blessed. So my lessons came to me in the amount of freedom. Freedom is an amazing gift. Freedom from yourself, freedom from your chains, freedom from, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Why? And then you ask yourself, but you feel free. You really do feel free. I know I did. So sobriety has given me everything possible that I could ever have. It has given me my soul purpose. And I know this is my soul purpose, because I keep getting guided to go higher and higher and keep helping and keep talking. And I have many stories to tell of healing. So, and when you have clarity in your life, everything goes smoother. Yeah, I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm doing today. I know what that vision is back there. So that's what happens. So I don't want to have any more chains. So the chains have been dropped. And one of the life lessons it is. So in closing of this beautiful little message that I have to you, I have one thing to tell you guys. No matter where you are, no matter where you are, no matter where, you don't have to stay there. You don't. If you think you've fallen and you can get back up. You can get back up. You have power. You don't have to see the whole road. Just have to see one step. One step. And that's the power of one day at a time. I have a life filled with purpose. My life is here. And if I can break a chain, so can you. I'm glad I'm here today to tell you what my story was. I hope that it gives somebody an inspiration. This is going to be the start of my speaking journey because I want everybody to take something away from this. And I've been blessed over the years to help hundreds and hundreds of people see things differently. See things differently. I got to keep going and keep learning. So I want to thank you all.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. As Mary said, we are chaining. We sometimes chain ourselves to our past because we use our past or people that we know or their habits as an excuse. I'm going to do it just because, right? And when we do that, we really are using it more as an excuse. And sometimes it is because we didn't know better. However, sometimes we use it because do we actually want to change or are we just comfortable? Because to stop bypassing, that means is you really have to have a look at yourself. Because a lot of times what happens is we use our circumstances that we know as an excuse to make it okay to keep ourselves there. And what happens then? We have big dreams, but can we accomplish them? No, because each time what we do is, well, it didn't happen because, but in the same time, you didn't trust yourself. Because it takes a step at a time, a moment at a time to start changing. If you want to be managing energy in the big rooms, you have to understand that you are part of that energy. You have to understand that everything that you came from does not define you. It's more a road that was put in front of you and you can choose whether you want to keep walking on it or not. And Mary is breaking chains. And I want the same thing for you guys. I really want you guys to start breaking chains. The biggest thing is stop running away from yourself. Because guess what? Wherever you go, there you are. How cool is that? Not at all, right? You can't run away from yourself.
No,
You can't.
no matter where you go.
And when you're walking somebody else's path, guess what? It's not your path. So again, you're hiding. So no more bypassing. That's why I am so passionate about this vision of intuitive authority, because you are meant to understand that you are so much more than what you say you are or what you think you are or what somebody else told you who you are. But we're going to get that in my part. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
And right now, guys, we're going to transition into have a little bit of a different look. You guys heard about a grief, which was a little bit of a counseling, a little bit of spiritual go through. Then we had Mary talking about breaking chains. And now we're going to have Joe come and speak about from a different perspective, because you're going to see that it all is related no matter how you look at it. And Joe is HBC. You know what? She's psychoeducational facilitator. Oh, la, la, tongue twist, and I can say that. She is empowering people. She's helping them with mental health and so much more. But you know what? We'll just let Jo speak for herself, right? Because I don't want to mess it up.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for that introduction. My name is Jo. I am a psychoeducational facilitator. I am working my way through, I'm about to receive my first degree, an honors bachelor in counseling psychology at the age of 50 next month, and I have just applied for my master's in psychology. I started on a spiritual path, and what I have learned is the spiritual path and the psychological path are so similar, they're simply different languages. Who am I? Well, I'm not perfect. I'm absolutely ridiculous. I love a good shenanigan. I like to think that I'm kind and I'm compassionate and I am a connector of people. But that's me and I've done the work. My question for you today is, who are you? Who are you when you strip down? When you take off the titles and the shoulds? You can't say Mr., Mrs. It doesn't matter if you're a doctor or a grandmother, if you're in a band, if you're a dancer. I mean, these are all important for you, absolutely. But they're not who you are. They're the roles and the titles you carry. What I want to know is, who are you within that? Who's in that raw, vulnerable core of your soul? Are you kind? Are you compassionate? Are you driven? Do you know what you want? That is what makes you you, and that's what makes you authentically you. And it is a deep, deep dive, and I know that. I absolutely know that because we are inundated and bombarded with messages telling us who we should be every day. TV commercials, product placement in movies. Now we have social media influencers telling us who we should be, what we should wear, what we should eat, what we should do, what we should achieve to just be enough. But the truth of the matter is, my friends, that none of those messages actually have anything to do with you. Did you know that? They're all about sales and profits. People telling you who to be. It has nothing to do with you at your core. So I ask you again, who are you? What do you want? And I'm going to invite you now to start thinking about that, and I'm going to invite you to start just loosening the masks that you wear every day. And we all wear them. It's perfectly normal. It's human nature, 100%, right? I'm not the same person at work as I am at home. Not everybody deserves all of you, truth be told, right? My boss doesn't need to know that I'm almost out of toothpaste. And my kids do not need to carry the burden of everything I've faced in a day. That's healthy. The problem lies when we live in them. When we live behind the masks and we don't take them off. When we let the shoulds of society dictate how we live. That becomes problematic. And in there, we lose our connection to ourselves. We lose our connection to our people. We lose our connection to our intuition. How can I know who or where or what I'm supposed to do if I'm not connected to myself? When we disconnect from ourselves, real loneliness seeps in. Have you ever felt that? Have you ever walked into a room full of people and felt completely alone? It's the most alarming and vulnerable feeling, isn't it? Because here's what I know. Being alone has nothing to do with not being surrounded by people. Feeling lonely is about not being heard, not being seen, and not being validated for who you are, the important stuff. And when that loneliness seeps in and the longer you sit in it, the harder it gets to get away from it. And I know, my friends, I know because I've been there. I've grown up not feeling enough. I got married not feeling enough. I have had 2 great careers behind masks. And these masks, they cost me a lot. Because the longer I sat behind them, the lonelier it became. It affected all aspects of my life, from my work to my personal life, my anxiety, my depression, my relationships, my family, and my children. It's really, really hard to step away from that because it feels vulnerable. But here's something else I know. Your people, the people who you're going to make heart-to-heart connections with, cannot find you when you're behind a mask. When you're living a life you should be living, the ridiculous people who I align with don't know I'm ridiculous because I'm doing the path. Having the courage to step off of that and to be seen for who you are, that takes courage. But that's where you find the magic, where you find the belonging, and when you find the people who will celebrate you for who you are. For me, I had to release them because it came to a point where it was heal or succumb. And nobody wants to admit that, but we all have felt it. And healing is hard because healing means being real. And being real is terrifying. Because we're humans, my friends. Human nature, we are a collective species. We are social creatures. We want to fit in. So being real, we all face this fear of what if I step up in all of my ridiculousness and I give a speech and nobody likes me. It sits in the back of all of our brains, whether you admit it or not. And there are people who are so damaged that they will say, I don't care who likes me. But I will tell you right now, it's bullshit. It's human nature. We're social creatures. So let me flip the script for you. My friends, if you stand up and you are doing your thing and you are having a great time and you're celebrating you and somebody doesn't like you, so what? They're not your people. Let them go. The people who like you are going to see you and they're going to celebrate you. And now you get to choose who you're going to focus on. Those who don't like you or those who do. And the more you focus on being yourself and being open and surround yourself with the people who celebrate you within that, the more you're living that authentic life. It just happens. You're not trying. You're not a part of a program. You're just showing up, and that's beautiful. So my friends, if you like golf, go to a driving range. If you like music, go to concerts. And if you like art, surround yourself with it so that your people can find you. I am not going to find my people at a 5 a.m. running club. It's a hard truth. And there are people who are going to come on here and they're going to be mad about that. Because there's always going to be people who don't like you. That's okay. I'm sure they're lovely people. They're just not mine. I will be at a painting class at noon. That is what we call alignment. That is where I get lifted up. And when you're doing the things you love, this, my friends, is when you start to look around and see who's surrounding you. Those are your people. Those are the people who love the same things you love, and this is where you get to make those deep, heartfelt connections. Because when you're doing the things you love, when you're feeling aligned, your energy shifts. Whether you're spiritual or a psychological student, energy is everything. Ask Albert Einstein. And when you're doing what you love, your energy comes alive with you. And pay attention to who is attracted to that. And then pick your people. It doesn't mean you have to like them all, but that's your people to pick from. Those are the people who will see you and appreciate you and lift you up on your bad days. They're never going to tell you you're not enough. They want you to succeed. And it's hard. Of course it's hard. It's terrifying. But it's worth it, and I promise you. My friends, I invite you today, if you do nothing else, to give yourselves permission to let go of perfection, to let go of the shoulds, to let go of the titles and the masks, and dig deep into who you are. I invite you to go out in the world and play. Get messy. Try new things. Eat new foods. Find the things that make you light up inside. And that is the key to living a happy life. You have to decide, am I happier at a concert? Or am I happier at a mall because the greatest sale ever just dropped? There's no wrong answer. It's okay. It's simply which is your answer. And follow that. Forget the social norms. Social norms set us up to fail. Social norms set us up to feel like we're not enough, so that I'm going to go and buy Jill J's lipstick and feel better about myself. But at the end of the day, it doesn't work. So look at who you are. Look in your mirror. Remember what lights you up. When you were a child running through a field, when you were swinging on a sunny day, what made you excited? And go back to that. Have fun in that. Play in that. You get one life to live. How are you going to choose to live it? Right? And we hear that. Actually, we hear that we get to live once and die once. But the truth is, we die once and we live every day. Every morning we wake up and we make a choice. How am I living today? Do you have a favorite color and does it show up in your wardrobe? I choose what I wear every day because it makes me feel good. I choose if I hit snooze or if I get up and I chase the day. And sometimes I hit snooze. But that's okay. It's my stuff. I've made that choice. So when you think about how you're choosing to live your life, be empowered in that. Don't worry about who's not going to like you. Who do you like? That's power. That's connection. And that's healing. We all wear masks. That's healthy. Living behind them. Letting shoulds dictate our lives. That's when we become sheep. I just have one more thing for you, real quick. And I'd like everybody who's here and who's listening and who's watching, unless you're driving, stay driving, to just ground down for a minute. Let your feet touch the floor, let your shoulders be soft. Close your eyes if you like, or just let them be soft. But I would like for you to imagine yourself 100 years old. And it's a beautiful thing to get to live to be 100 years of age. It's a privilege, let me tell you. And at this 100th celebration, all of your people are going to come around and they're going to talk to you. They're going to talk about you. And they're going to tell the stories of how you've impacted them. They're going to talk about your values and your accomplishments. And as you sit and you think about the people in your life celebrating you, do the things that they're saying about you make you happy? Do they align with who you feel like you are on the inside? It's your life. Every day I wake up and I choose authenticity. I choose my ridiculousness. I know I'm not perfect, and I love chasing shenanigans. I have a small social circle, but my people support who I am, and I live a really happy life. My name is Jo Maskey. Thank you very much.
She ended that really fast. She ended that really fast. I got so into your speech, and that is so true. We bypass so much.
Autopilot.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten to work and not even remembered going through a light?
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh shit, I'm here.
Or
And
how I got
coffee.
home.
Or how you got home. Yeah.
Oh, that was awesome.
Completely on autopilot. We live on autopilot. But there are so many beautiful things to see. There are blue jays everywhere. Right?
Okay, there's a story. You guys want to hear the
If you
story?
don't pay attention to things around you, we don't make these connections.
Yeah.
I met Dorota because I
Of a
had
blue
two
jay.
people say, you got to find this woman. Two people from different towns, and I found her. And we went for a drive, and she ran over a blue jay. But that's a whole
I
other
didn't.
story.
He ran into the car.
Well,
Off the tree.
semantics.
No, it's
But
the
when
truth.
you pay
I'm sorry.
attention-
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I couldn't veer off because it was too late.
Life will bring you to the people who will celebrate you, is the point I'm trying to make, right? When you get off autopilot and you pay attention to when you see people like Lynn, who light you up every time you see them, grab them, keep them, have shenanigans with them.
Don't be afraid to make connections.
Absolutely.
Because not everybody needs to be your friend. Some people can be your acquaintances and they will still enrich your life. It's not about just, you have to be my friend or nothing. You know, there's no such thing as your tribe because everybody is your tribe. Because if you just go looking for your tribe, you, again, locking yourself in and their growth doesn't happen.
Let yourself be authentic and see who shows up.
Yeah,
That's how you live your life.
thanks, Joe.
Love you, baby.
Love you. That was good. Like, I love Joe and I loved Margaret and Mary and everybody that's here and you guys. I am so passionate about no more bypassing. I am so passionate about intuitive authority because it's not all just hocus pocus. It really isn't. Because if you really think about a time that where you were first born, when you came in and when you were little girls, you were running around and what were you doing? You were trusting your intuition, right? You were trusting your intuition. It didn't matter who said what. You're just like, it feels right, so I'm going to do it. So you did it. And then what? Then, you know, consequences come. But a lot of times it worked out for you, right? It worked out. And as you were growing up, what happened? You were told to do what? Think for yourself. Don't trust that gut feeling, right? But I'm going to take you, we're going to go many, 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 many moons back, okay, guys? This is very important. I was in Poland not this year, that was last year. It's 2026 now. And we went to salt mines. And you know how they discovered them? On a gut feeling. One of the guys decided to dig. And he found salt. And it was gold, considered white gold at that time. It was like currency. But they did it by intuition, and logic stepped in to tell them how to do it, how to dig it out, how to bring it to surface, where to go, how to deal with the gases that were there. Like most roads were first built, okay, well, you know what? Let's go build a road here. It was done by intuition before everything else, the tools came. People relied on their intuition and then logic worked with it, right? But as we were told, the more times go by, we are told to just trust your logic, right? Think for yourself. It has to make sense. Can you prove it that what you want to do, right? Because we're told not to trust our emotions, not to trust our instinct. Now, emotions, that's a muddy water. Because as Margaret stated, grief, if we bypass it, we're just going to put it in that pile. And what happens? It kind of comes back up like a volcano and you don't even know when. And you could be in the most important meeting of your life and all those emotions come and now you're like, oh shit. And now what? Excuse the language. But it gets to that point, right? Because you can't put it back. Now you want to cry. Now you want to scream. Now you want to do all that. But you got to sit here quietly looking professional because you're in a professional meeting. Now what? But it's because those emotions were so suppressed. And then you're also hearing that voice, that little birdie, you're going to mess up again, you don't do anything right, or whichever way that you heard over the years. Why am I bringing it up? Because all those things, emotions, and everything is that's not unprocessed, it is what is triggering you. It is what is keeping you away from being where you want to be. Because it triggers you. If somebody says yellow and last time you saw a yellow flower, you got really sick and you just hear color yellow. Now you feel like you're getting hives. And there's not really there. And someone just mentioned yellow, right? And that is because you haven't processed to what happened, how you felt during that time. And now you're carrying that memory with you everywhere you go. And when you're carrying it everywhere you go, you're being triggered by it. That memory doesn't own you. Do you know what owns you in that moment? Any idea? It's that darn emotion. It's the emotion that you relate to the memory of what happened, of how you were feeling when it happened. That emotion is running the show. That emotion is telling you how to act. That emotion is making you freeze, not the memory. It's the emotion that paralyzes you. You might be a very high up there CEO walking into the room and you're very confident, and all of a sudden it could be a person that you know from the past that you had a bad encounter, and now you're like, oh, because the memory of that encounter is freezing you. And when a memory freezes us, it's like that dirt in the windows. You can't see clearly. You don't have clarity. You can't trust yourself. You can't trust your confidence. That self-doubt creeps in and everything else. Your emotions are mudding your intuition and your self-confidence. So processing emotions as they happen are extremely important and really actually easy. Some aren't, yes. Some you might need help with. Amazing counselors are out there. Perhaps you have friends that can hold space for you. However, the emotions need to get processed. If something makes you feel really agitated that day, when you're running that in your mind over and over, like on a repeat, that has power over you. That has power over you. Now, if you were to speak it out loud to yourself, you don't need audience, because, you know, when you talk with friends, what happens? They add their 2 cents, and now that pot is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? But however, if you process that emotion personally first by yourself, you know, I used to work in Vaughan, so when I was driving home, that was like an hour and a half in traffic, yay. I would process a lot of things because I used to work as a store manager. So there's a lot of things to process on the way home, you know, those kids that didn't listen, the customers, you know how it goes, right? However, when I was driving home, I would talk out loud to myself. And I would go, okay, well, that today was a day. Holy moly, that person, seriously? I know about right? And because I was speaking out loud, it didn't get locked in here. So by the time I come home, when my son said, how was your day? I'm like, you know, Joanna. And then you just move on because you already processed it. It's just like, oh, Joanna, right? Because it's processed. So I have nothing to hold on to. And if you say, well, what'd she do now? Don't worry about it. Why? Because the emotion got processed. I know what she did. I don't need to feel it again, and I don't need to get it fueled by it again, right? So that also means that next day when I'm opening with Joanna, I already processed the emotion. That means is I don't have anger towards her. I'm not frustrated with her, and I'm not going in defense. I'm just showing up to work as me because I processed that. So I can say to her, good morning, Joanna. Okay, let's go see what we've got for today. Because it's processed. So she has no power over me. Because if I went home thinking about what I had to deal with her, it would have power over me. It would run. I wouldn't sleep. How many of you have sleepless nights going over the same things? Over and over and over. How is that working out? Not the greatest, right? And what happens then? Then we pick on people that we love because we're frustrated with that person, but we're going to take it out on you because you left your shoes in the wrong corner. Although I'm not really mad about those shoes. I'm mad about Joanna, but I'm going to tell you off because I can. And we do that, right? A lot. What does that have to do with intuition? Emotions just cloud us so we don't even know what we're going. It's kind of like using GPS and then it went all wonky. And now you just don't know where you are. And it happens. right? It just stopped working. Now, intuition is your superpower, and this is what I really want you guys to understand. Intuition is your superpower, but there's something more. There's more. But wait, more. Logic is your superpower. What? You just said not? Yes, it is. Intuition and logic are best friends. What do you think about those cookies? Intuition and logic are best friends. They were always meant to support one another. Always. However, right now, logic runs the show. And intuition goes, hi. Intuition is so misunderstood because we think it's woman's intuition, right? Or that gut feeling, you can't trust that, right? You've been told not to trust it so many times. And now what? Well, I'm telling you to trust. I am asking you to build a relationship between your logic and your intuition. Because the myth that's out there is that intuition is for psychics, mystics, and spiritual people. Right? They got all the senses. Nah. I know, and I said that, right? No, you have it. You have all the senses because when you were born, you came with all your senses. You did. If I was to tell you, let's say, my favorite one is French fries, can you smell it? That's one of the senses. You have it. Everybody has it. Do you have imagination? Can you visualize things? If somebody tells you drive this way or what something looks like when they're explaining, can you see it in your mind's eye? They call that clairvoyance. Everybody has it. It's a muscle, whether you work with it or not. And intuition and energy uses all those senses to help you know what is right for you. But when you throw emotion on top of it, guess what? You just don't know what's going on out there. You don't. You don't know if it's a left, right turn. You're just like, oh, damn it, I'll just drive in circles. Right? But the thing is, all the answers are inside you. The key to unlocking it is learning that what you went through does not define who you are. What you do for your living. So see how I said I didn't say I was a store manager. I said I worked as one because that role did not define me. That was just a part of the journey. I am a mom, though, I'll tell you, right? I am a mom because, So there's certain I ams. However, why would you let everything else define who you are, including your moods? It's just a moment, a sliver in time. It's an emotion that you're feeling. So I feel really crabby at this moment. What that means is you're not letting that emotion to take over your whole day and define you in that moment. You're just acknowledging that in a moment, I'm not the greatest. So you're giving yourself self-acknowledgement. When you self-acknowledge, nothing controls you. Nothing has power over you. Because you just acknowledged it. And you capped it. And then you can't find a way to change it. Now, we're talking about no more bypassing. Because we bypass our intuition all the time. And because we were again taught to trust our gut feeling, we detached from intuition, self-doubt came in. And because self-doubt came in, what else came in? I need somebody else to validate me now. Right? Somebody has to come and validate that what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, or what am I going to do? I need somebody else to help me because I'm done. Right? We're looking for somebody else to validate us now. And if we can't find that somebody to validate us, what do? We look for a person that we can resonate with and say, I'm like them. because we don't really know who we are because we are not trusting ourselves. So we need to see who we can embody in a way. Or imposter syndrome will come. Well, they're already doing it, so I can't. Well, she's so good at it, so I'm not. Well, I told her I wanted to do it, but she did it first, so I'm not going to do it. And then we put ourselves in competition with other people for what reason? To prove that we have a value. However, if you are so busy fighting for your worth, what are you doing? If you don't feel worthy, no one can tell you that you are. No one can tell you, no matter what you do. And I know, because I don't know. I'm like this, I'll prove you wrong. My mom would say, no, you're this. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll prove you wrong. And I would just do it just to prove her wrong. And then when I had intuitive thought, you can do this. And I'm like, I'm going to prove you that it's not going to work. Guess what? It worked. It worked. So 1 for intuition, 0 for Dorota. And it's a lot of that. How many times something you picked up as small as maybe, don't go right now. Wait 5 minutes. But you forced yourself to get out of the house because, oh, I gotta do it. And, you got stuck in traffic or something else happened or you missed a friend coming over, right? Because, see, intuition is not about predicting future, as people say. Intuition is your inner compass. It is your inner compass. It's your inner being, if you want to call it. It's part of you. It's not out there. You have the answers. Nobody else does. You can go and ask for advice. However, automatically, you are the one that is to make the right call that resonates with you, because nobody walks your life. Nobody went through what you went through. Nobody thinks the same you do. So the same things that resonate with other people will not resonate with you. However, you can go for advice and then tweak that advice to make it work for yourself. How is that? It's kind of neat, right? Because, see, intuition is not just what I go left or right, or I got that gut feeling that something's happening at home, I should get home now, or I should put my phone away. I put my website listening to my inner gut. Yep. Because it can be your marketing. You will get those ideas. You will get those different little notches that, try this. How about that? It will help you in the meetings, find the right opportunities. Intuition is not to tell you what your future is. It's to guide you through it, because you're creating your future every single day that you wake up. So me walking into a room and freezing, that's the path that I took. Now, if I walked into that room and said, let's say, Joe Schmo, and he didn't trigger me because I worked my emotional baggages that were attached to that, the triggers. I have a memory. I got to be careful if you do. All right, so how's everybody doing? I still acknowledge him, but how's everybody doing, right? Or her. Because, as girls, we put ourselves a lot in a competition. I don't know why we do it. It's almost like we're breaking that cycle now, right? But that person's not triggering me because I worked the emotion through it. And if I work that emotion through it, so guess what? I'm clear in that room. I can read the room. I can feel who is in what mood, who I can speak to directly, who I should look at, or who should I avoid to looking at. Because your intuition will also show you how people are feeling, and that's where the empathy comes in. Empathy is not meant for you to take somebody else's personal stuff going on within their lives and make it about you, or go home, oh my gosh, you won't believe what happened to that person. I feel so sorry. And then you go and then you put yourself in their shoes. It's meant for you to have compassion towards that person and what they're going through. Because there could be a cashier at the store that you are cashing out, and she might be in a little cranky mood, but you can feel pain. And then you're going to go, I'm going to match her energy. That's the worst thing you can do. Your empathy radar goes ding, ding, ding. That means, okay, she's going through something. So I'm just going to be myself and get in, get out, because I really don't want to, I see she's a little rough, but I'm not going to go over unless I feel like she needs that smile. Right? Because when you're starting the new trend that is out there, matching people's energy, why would you do that? My energy is too expensive to be matching somebody's low energy. Like, hello, right? It's too expensive. Because then I have to work really hard to get back where I was. No, thank you. No, thank you. And again, your intuition works on energy. So what that means is that you can pick up on things that are good for you, that are not, where to go, who speak to, how to do your websites, how to write your speech, or wing it, many ways. It's so much more. This is where if you don't tune in to your intuitive authority, you're allowing emotions run, not even logic, but emotions run your life. Because you still feel emotions, you're just processing them. You're not storing them. They're not your badge of honor that you went through it, because you know you went through it. But you don't need to go, look what I went through, right? But you need to process it. It's just like when Margaret was standing here and sharing her story about losing Isaac. She shared that with you guys, just openly, without putting any pressure on that, because she healed that part so she can show you what it's like, right? She didn't say, look what happened to me, feel sorry for me. No, she said, this is what I went through, and this is real. This is something that people don't talk about. Or when Mary shared her story, that all was shared for you guys to understand. It's just part of the story. It's not the main event. You're the main event. How you want to go with your life, it's about you. It's how you're going to show up for yourself. So trusting your intuition is actually easier than it sounds. Life is going to be lifing because it's doing the best, right? It's doing awesome at lifing. And it's not going to stop lifing because you got to start healing or because you entered this journey or you started this new job. It's not going to stop. It's going to keep lifing. However, your intuition can help you get through it unscathed. Things are still going to happen. It's how you're going to go through them that's going to change. Will you let it knock you down? Or will you work through the emotions and trust your intuitive nudges how to go through it? The person to talk to, what to do, stay in bed, get up, whichever way. There's just so much that your intuition does for you. It doesn't just tell you messages. It's kind of cool to really learn to trust yourself. But the bypassing happens so often because that logic's supposed to be the king. Everything has to be logical. Let's bridge the logic with intuition. Let's bring the two best friends back. Because intuitively you can pick up on things and then logic will show you how to execute. Or logically you'd be like, oh, I should do it, but your intuition will go, not yet. See how they can beautifully dance together? They can be the best dancers ever. Think if that GPS is properly calibrated by you allowing yourself be yourself and not creating different people consistently in your mind that you need to be or want to be or have to be, you just simply go, you know what? I'm going to stop and I'm just going to be me. Learn to pause. When you're feeling anxiety, pause. Pause. It doesn't need to be hours. Pause. It could be just going to, the bathroom, washing your face, washing your hands, just something that can break it a little bit. Because those little pauses will bring you relief. They will bring you so much relief and clarity will be able to come in. I'm just getting so excited. I'm speaking over my words now. Yeah, that's normal. But can you imagine When you walk in a room and you can own it because you showed up as you, not as a character that you're playing to own the room. Can you think how many opportunities will open for you because you showed up as you? You didn't come with an agenda. You came in for what your needs are, but you didn't come here, I'm going to talk to that person. You just showed up as you. This is what I'm going to do. If it's going to work, it's going to work. And then it works even better than you expected. How amazing is that? How freeing is that? So I really would love for all of you, when you are experiencing emotions, don't hide them. Don't pretend they're not there. Just work through it. Because getting your power back, yes, there's a lot of saying, I get my power back. However, let's be frank, stop giving it away. Stop giving it away to the project because you're on time, it has a deadline. Yes, it has a deadline. You know what's expected of you. The deadline's not going to change. So you're thinking, oh my gosh, I got another week. Oh my gosh, I got another. That's like giving it power. But instead of just going, all right, I know what it's due. Let's get it done. Right? The things that we are not comfortable with, it's got to get taken care of. Because again, if you run away from them, you're running away from yourself. And again, wherever you run, there you are. And I've learned that the hard way because one year I moved. How many months in a month we have? 12, right? One year I moved 6 times. I should have just left that U-Haul packed. I should have just left it packed. Because I thought, if I'm going to go to live in this spot, it's going to be exactly what I need. Oh no, hold on, it's still the same stuff. Okay, so let's pack up again and let's try here. Okay, it's the same. So I kept moving because I was running away from me. I wasn't taking care, I wasn't setting my boundaries with certain people and with myself. So when I was on this run, it cost a lot of freaking money and a lot of broken furniture because how many times you can load and unload IKEA furniture? Not very much, as you guys know. Eventually just says, I ain't going with you. Leave me, right? So that's when I realized I can't run anymore. And I start facing. And I wasn't facing those people. I wasn't facing the relationships. I was facing myself. How I was showing up for me. And once I stopped running, that's when everything started falling in place. That's when I felt freedom. That's when I felt happy. Because I didn't feel like there's a cloud that I got to avoid, find an umbrella and another and another. No, I was just like, all right, let's take care of it. But also in doing so, I found my worth. And I found who I am. And not because somebody told me I'm worthy. It's because I saw my worth to myself. And no more bypassing is so powerful. So are you committing to stop bypassing yourself? Are you committing to yourself to stop leaking your own energy? Because again, once energy is gone, it's gone. It can't come back. If I give you bread of loaf, and then I come give it back, you can't. You just ate it. I can't get it back. It's gone, right? It's the same with energy. If you're investing it in something, it's already gone. You can't say, I recall my energy back. It's gone. It's gone. Recalling your power back? Set your boundaries. Know what you say yes to. Know what is you say no to. And learn to trust yourself with small things. And I say small. You wake up in the morning and, maybe you're a coffee drinker and today you feel like you want to have a glass of water. Go for a glass of water. Because that's how you start self-trust. Not by making huge decisions. It's by those little small steps. And while you're drinking, let's say, that glass of water, your partner opens the fridge, goes, oh, there's no cream. And you're like, well, good thing I had water. Right? This is exactly how it happens. Okay, my son, I was driving around, well, I always drive, But I was hungry, and I'm like, okay, let's go something fast, because fast takeouts are freaking amazing. So I'm like, okay, am I gonna go to McDonald's or am I gonna go here? And then I hear no, no, no. So I ended up at Dairy Queen drive-thru, and as I am ordering my chicken fingers, with my buffalo sauce, the lady says to me, "Do you want anything else?" And I scream, "Banana split." And I'm like, what the, what? She's like, "Banana split?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Well, I screamed at her, so I'm not going to say no now, right? So as I pull in to pay, my son calls. He says, "Where are you?" I'm like, "At Dairy Queen." And he goes like, "Can you get me banana split?" Guess what? Already paid for. It wasn't even for me. And that's also intuition. Because when you trust yourself, you connect to everyone that you love, all your friends or your family, and you just pick up on it. And you know things when you need to know. It's that simple. So I really invite you to start practicing, the biggest thing that they say, parking spots, right? They ask for parking spot. Ask for a parking spot. Start with that. If you're asking for a sign, tell them what sign. Because if you have a hard time, and if you go, okay, they usually give me numbers. Where's my numbers? Then you're missing the point to say, okay, if I'm supposed to do this, show me a cardinal. And if I'm not supposed to, show me a blue jay. Don't run it over. I'm sorry. He really flew off the tree. He did. I wish I had a camera because it shocked me. Anyhow, you see a cardinal, it's your yes. I had a friend of mine that used that, and she asked for a neon pink mailbox when they were coming back from the cottage. If I'm supposed to do certain things, she said, I asked for pink mailbox. So they were driving home, and she was looking for, because now she's looking for it, right? Am I going to, because she wants to do it. So am I supposed to do this? So where's my pink mailbox? Where is it? Where is it? She couldn't see it, so she said, okay, I guess I'm not supposed to do it. And then her husband took a wrong turn, and he almost hit one. The moment she stopped looking for it. He found neon pink mailbox, and that was her yes. So your signs will show. Just say what you wanted the sign to be. If you say white car, come on, there's so many white cars, So use something different. However, learn to trust yourself small step at a time. And when you get that sign, when you do that thing that felt right and it worked out, say, I'm glad I did it. Because then you're verifying yourself. You are giving yourself authority in your intuition. And you're becoming self-aware, and your self-trust builds. Because you acknowledge that what you felt, you did, and it turned out to be awesome. How cool is that? I would love to invite all my speakers, please. Margaret, Mary, Joe.
Hello, darling.
Hello, Sunshine.
Hello.
And before we wrap it up, do you guys have any questions?
What made you decide to?
Sorry. You get the...
What made you decide to do this event today or speak today? What brought the four of you amazing women together to come?
What nudged you?
What was your calling?
What was your intuition?
What's my intuition? The day was picked by my intuitively. And what nudged me, for years I've been telling people, because I'm a huge believer in self-trust. And I push that with all my clients when they come for private sessions. And I always say, you are meant to trust yourself versus putting your trust in other people. Because if you want me to make decisions for you, you're giving a power over your life to me. And I don't deserve that kind of power. Nobody does. It's your life. It's your choices. So it just came in. It's time to really start empowering people on a bigger scale and making them understand that intuition is part of them. It's a tool, and it's a beautiful tool that they have that they don't need to go look for outside answers because they already know it.
Thank you. Also, I wanted to address your emotional story of how you kept it in for so long. I think that is a beautiful story, and I think about you a lot now. I think a lot of people need to hear that, as for Mary as well, and Joe. I think it's an amazing panel today because I learned a lot of things as well today.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I will be passing the mic.
Lynn is like, I don't know if I want to hold that mic.
I have something I'd like to
Do
chat
it.
with you on, my friend. You said something and it really struck a chord about emotion. And what it resonated to me is that we hold our emotions as masks, right? We hold them as identity, but emotion actually stands for energy and motion.
Exactly.
It's meant to be. So when you feel your emotions coming in, you can acknowledge it. You can say, what are you here to tell me? But just remember that it's not for you to hold on to let that
Yeah.
go. And it makes it a little bit easier to feel that way, to feel, I put it in a cloud and then I push the cloud away. But it's finding a way to make it make sense to you and understand that you're not meant to hold those emotions so tight. They're not your mask.
No, they're not your mask. And just to kind of go a little further, anger is just an emotion. We give it a bad call. It's not the greatest thing. It's a lot of unprocessed emotions coming at you all at once, and you just want to get justification for what you feel, but in the same time, you don't know what you feel. So it is really important to understand that anger is nothing more than just another big emotion that needs to get processed. You know, like
And don't live in it.
No, don't.
Yeah.
When I got stressed out, what I used to do, get in a car, make sure that the gas was filled up, and just go drive around and just scream in the car.
Scream therapy, it's a thing.
Yeah, it's a
It's an
thing.
absolute thing.
It's a thing. Yeah. So because when you don't process it, next person that does something that you don't agree will get all of it.
Yep.
So whether it be a grief, because grief can turn into anger, like all emotions that are unprocessed end up creating anger.
As well as triggers.
Yes.
Right? You touched on triggers and I really that resonated because what we know about triggers is we all have them. We all get triggered and triggers come up because we've been through things.
Yes.
And I'm sorry that people have been through things. I really and truly am. But it's our job to heal our triggers, not to live behind them, not to be an excuse, not to say, I can't see yellow because I break out in hives. You have to deal with it because if you don't, you will bleed on people who didn't cut you.
Exactly.
And that's not fair.
And that is a big thank you for bringing that up because it is very important to understand your trigger is your responsibility. It's not somebody else's. It's your nervous system that's holding to something because it's afraid to let it go. Because if let's say if I said yellow again and you got triggered, I didn't say it to trigger you or anything else. This is just was part of the conversation. And now that anger gets put on me
Right.
because I said color yellow, which I had. It's not my responsibility to be aware. Now, if I'm set out to do it, that's a different
That's right.
conversation.
That's intention.
That's intention. But when there's no intention, then that is your responsibility to heal because there's so much that is happening. People go through so much traumas and stuff. And if we were to be mindful of every single second, you wouldn't leave the house. You wouldn't even answer the phone because there's just so much, right?
So you have to choose. What are you
Exactly. What are you choosing?
What step are you taking today?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Right?
choosing? Absolutely. I
So that does actually lead to a question that I've been sort of thinking about, like this whole intuitive authority. I've learned so much from you guys today. There's so much noise in the world right now. Like, so like all of you were talking, how do we know to trust that it's actually us answering?
So first of all, your intuition will never give you panic or anxiety. It will never give you panic because panic, anxiety, those are learned emotions. Those are emotions that you are taught to feel, to do, to resonate with, right?
So I guess, how do we start to ask ourselves if this is our truth?
Is this mine?
Is this-
It's
is this-
literally
is
that's
this
the
the
thing.
truth?
Is this mine?
Pause.
And listen.
And pause, honestly pause, because it was last week I was like really, when I was putting this whole event together, I was freaking out. Am I doing the right? Like it just became in so much turmoil because I was overwhelmed. I literally just shut down. I put my phone away. I put my laptop away, and I just went for a walk with Miss Iris, my dog, because and that was it. That was the quiet that I needed just to breathe and go back to your breath, because that's where it all starts, because we forget to breathe.
Ground,
You
yeah.
know, yeah. Because when you do that, then you feel, okay, I'm good. So when you walk in, you have the clarity. No, yeah, it is mine. Or you know what? No, it
Or
wasn't
this
mine.
wasn't mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think as women too, it's important for us to understand that we hold a lot of emotions that are not ours. We are, social media is thrown at us at higher rates. I didn't have social media going through high school. Thank goodness, because I can't imagine my life being filmed as I'm making all my mistakes and growing into who I am. So we have to remember to remove those distractions.
Yes.
Find who you're connected to. Those are your trusted conversations. And that way, when you're having this self doubt, you can speak to somebody who knows you to say,
Yeah.
does this sound like you? Right?
And, yeah, and on
Trust.
speaking of social media, because a lot of us grew up without it, using it becomes hard, because now you have a lot of influencers, you have a lot of different,
Yeah.
we're looking for likes, views, and how many followers you got, without understanding that you can have 100 people that are just following you, but those 100 people really trust you, and they maybe not clicking every post, but they come to you for a business. You can get a really huge deal without having 2 million followers.
Yeah.
It's because being yourself, and that's the intuitive authority. Being, instead of authentic self, because if you have to scream that, then you're not being authentic.
Yeah.
But if you just acknowledge it, then you're good.
You find the
Yeah.
places you're connected. Find the people you're connected to. Find nature where you find that connection, where you feel your nervous system calm, and then ask yourself, is this mine? And how does that feel, right? You have to be able to get rid of those distractions and the shoulds and the masks and the people telling you how to live. And wait a minute, this is me. Does this feel right for me?
Exactly. And there's a game, because we're talking also to women in business as well, or starting, because there's a lot of that. There's a lot of advice out there. It's like, what does it feel right? Because you can go and throw money on each app or each website designer and so on. You can keep throwing it, and you still will not get the results you want, because you don't know who you are.
That leads to actually a really interesting point because we're also in this new era of AI. And AI is actually designed to agree with you over and over and over again. So you have to be really cautious, because it can take you down the wrong path just because it's validating. And is it validating what you are, who you are, or is it validating who you think you should be and that you're living in it, right? You got to really dig deep into those questions.
That especially now that's why the whole event Intuitive Authority, and that's why
Yeah.
the launching of the program Intuitive Authority, to understand what energy is, because it's not just about the spiritual side of it. Like Einstein wasn't a spiritual yet. He said everything is energy.
Everything is energy.
You walk into a room, you're totally oblivious to spirituality, but you feel like it doesn't feel comfortable in here. So what do? You just be aware. It doesn't mean run away.
No.
It's a heads up. It's not the greatest space. You can make it, right? Just not the greatest space. So because everything is energy, even when you go shopping, you'll know what to buy, because it's all energy.
Right.
So it's not just that it's people, trees, and living things. Everything is energy, literally. So that's why trusting yourself, it's that important, especially right now, because there is a lot of noise in the world.
Thank you. That was a big word, trust.
Trust. Yeah.
That's it. She's like, no.
You don't
All
have to
right.
ask anything. if you
So, Margaret, did you want to add anything before we wrap it up?
Just that, to trust yourself in your own journey, to know what you need, and to listen to what you need. And if someone's suggesting something that doesn't feel right, don't do it. Something I didn't mention in my speech that I meant to is that I have designed a grief assessment, and we'll tag it in the show notes afterwards. That if you're curious as to how much grief you have been experiencing through your life, take the assessment. It's 2 minutes, and it might just highlight some things that maybe you weren't aware of. Because I think knowledge is power. And
It
you
is power.
cannot heal what you're unaware of.
Exactly.
So that would be my
Knowledge is power,
Mm-hmm.
and you can use it wisely.
Yes.
Mary, do you have last words?
I have a last word. I do. Um, we all have that feeling. It's that gut instinct. It's like we meet somebody instantly, and it's like, ooh, I have a bad, ooh, I don't like that. And then we meet somebody again another time, and we're like, oh, I have a good energy about you. And it's like, that's it. That's what you got to feel. It's
Yep.
like that's what it is. Stick to that feeling, and you can overcome it. And just like don't force. So if it's not feeling good, and you keep going, you keep taking those steps.
Thank you for saying that. I'm gonna top. Let's look at this. We're going top and top and top, and I'm gonna top and top and top. The feeling
Layers.
is really important because how many times in your gut feeling you met someone and you felt like they're not really good person, but you forced yourself to have a relationship with them because somebody else said they're a good person,
Or they're in your family,
or even in the
right?
family.
A lot of people show up in your
But in the
family.
same time, what happened was it was the worst thing you could have done for yourself. And then you go, well, why not? Didn't anybody warn me? Those nudges of this isn't the right person, or, don't say certain things to that person. Keep it to yourself. Don't open your mouth. Yes, you're excited. Don't share. Trust this because those are what you call red flags that you are going, nah, it's shiny. So it's not bypassing the red flags because that's your intuitive nudges. You always consistently guide. You call them lessons later, but those were just exams that you chose to take where you didn't need to because you were told, this isn't your door, we're moving forward. And you go, but it's shiny, so let's go check it out. So, yes, of course, you learn stuff from it. However, that wasn't your lesson to learn. That was a chosen exam. How is that? So, and another thing is we have to stop saying that everything, of course, everything is a lesson, but oh, that's a lesson that was thrown at me. No, that's a lesson. Some lessons you chose to go through. Because that's another bypass that we don't speak about is when we make a choice and it didn't turn out the way we wanted to. So we go, oh, that was just thrown my way. God or universe just threw it. But meanwhile, you were the one that decided to go there because you did get those little nudges, not to call that person, not to go to that spot, or so on. So that's when you start trusting your intuition. That's where things get simplified. You still go through lessons you're meant to, but you avoid a lot of detour. And come on, detour, you can come out of bruised up of detour with wheels off, right?
Absolutely, we
Right?
can. Watch us.
Did you ever go on a
Watch
detour
us.
that's detour after detour and you're like, oh my gosh, where am I?
We call it the scenic route.
Yeah.
You're just taking the
That's
scenic
what we
route.
call it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And one small step is like we've given a lot of huge information and a lot of big things, and it's amazing and it's beautiful, but sometimes it's overwhelming. I think what we have to remember is start small. Start with just having that awareness, because once you become aware that what you heard here is applicable in life, now you can start making choices off your awareness. And the more choices you make that align with your awareness and work out for you, the more you begin to trust in your choices. And that's when you make bigger choices and create really aligned changes.
Yeah. Keyword awareness. Self awareness is the key to trusting your intuition because it's showing you consistently.
Yep.
It's showing you consistently. And then your self trust comes,
Yep.
your confidence comes back.
Yep.
Your confidence comes back and clarity.
And it's not a thing to be ashamed of, to feel this way.
No.
There's actually like a psychological term for it. It's called cognitive dissonance. So it is so common that we've coined it. And that simply means pretending to be who you are and the stress of who you really are and the disconnect within that. We carry it.
Yes.
It's not to be shamed. It's just now you're aware and you start with your small steps.
Yeah,
and you
it's
keep
a small
following us.
steps. It's a moment at a time. It really, guys, please understand everything is a moment at a time, not a day at a time. Do a moment. So if you have something to do right now, take care of that right now. Because it is one thing at a time, one moment at a time, one breath at a time.
Yep.
Because that's what creates. Your today is creating your tomorrow. Did you know that? That's why tomorrow never exists. Because how you show up for yourself today is going to carry you over to the next day. And that's why trusting your intuition, Your intuitive authority is that important. It doesn't matter where you are in life or what circumstances, because with the intuition, I got out of a lot of pickles. I can't even mention some, but yeah, I trusted my inner voice and it got me out quite a bit.
Amazing.
And my need to prove it wrong got me in quite a bit of mess. Like I said, Dorota, zero intuition. I think there's not enough words.
No, and that's ego. Like we don't
That's
have to
nervous system.
we don't have to sit in that. We can it's so what?
Yeah. So again, ego is just your unhealed nervous system.
Yeah.
That's all what it is. Don't kill it, heal it.
Heal it.
Because I know there's a lot of saying, kill your ego. No.
No.
Heal your ego. It's part of who you are. It's part of your identity.
Yeah.
It helps you with your personality. It helps you develop you. And it also protects you because it remembers what happened.
Yeah.
And that's your nervous system. The moment you want to heal.
aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Awareness makes it all better. So on that note, I want to thank everybody that tuned in and that is watching even a replay, because I know a lot of people said they're going to watch a replay. And I want to thank my great panelists, Mary, Margaret, and Joe, and our audience and the crew that showed up here for us, and Lindsay watching live intensely, Mike there, and Greg, thank you so much. And I want to wish you guys the best tuning into yourself. If you have any questions, do reach out. Email me at connect@intuitiveauthority.ca or just reach out. Thank you.
Thank you.